Welcome, everyone. Welcome to Hard Truth Hoops, brought to you by the Unapologetic Sports Network. I'm your host, Anthony. This is my co-host, Michavan. Michavan, how you doing today?
Doing pretty good. How about you, man?
Hey, man, ready to have another episode. First episode went great. Got some clips out. Got some decent amount of, what's the word I'm looking for? Support. That's the word I'm looking for. Decent amount of support on the first episode and the first few clips. But let's get into this next episode. We got a lot in store for you guys. But I wanted to ask you a question. Have you seen the current discourse regarding James Harden and Dwayne Wade?
Yeah, I've seen a little bit of it. I've seen a little bit of it. What are your thoughts?
Well, I mean, you know where I'm at, right? You know where I'm at with James Harden's my guy. But the conversation seems to be it seems to happen all the time. And of course, this time it just really got Pat Bev brought it up. And Dwayne Wade, in his response to Pat Bev, first of all, he was like, Pat Bev, you're not even better than me, so you can't even talk about this. But Dwayne Wade was saying he really thinks he's pretty much, he thinks he's the best player ever, right? As far as just like as a basketball player. Obviously, he said that, greatness is a lot different, because people had longer careers or injuries or whatever. Me personally, like I said, I think James Harden is better just as a basketball player. I think, if you take, a lot of people don't like to, but if you take the winning out of it as far as the rings go, but that is a team accomplishment. But if you put it as the individual players, what they did by themselves, James Harden, I think, at a higher peak as a basketball player than Dwayne Wade did. And I mean, how would you feel about that? What's your side?
Taking out the winning, I agree, but I'm not one to taking out. I'm not one to agree with taking out the chips, man. You can't take out the chips. The winning is a part of it. Like, especially, I can see if we're talking about, I don't know, Big Shot Bob or something, Robert Horry with his 7 rings like that. Like that's different. But we're talking about Dwayne Wade, and he was a huge contributor to those rings. So that's just where it's like, well, you can't. That's like with the ring conversation, taking out Michael Jordan's 6 rings. Like, obviously, Jordan was the main contributor to those 6
Right.
rings. So me personally, I can't take them out. And factoring in that winning, it's difficult. It's split. I don't know if I can necessarily choose one. I may have to factoring in the winning. I may have to go against you and go Dwayne Wade. But I get what you're saying as far as the individual basketball player like James Harden. If you take out the winning, yes, James Harden is a better player.
We'll probably have more of that conversation at another day. But part of the conversation, like I said, that Dwayne Wade brought up was that a lot of players have had better careers than him because of the longevity and not getting injured. And that actually brings us to the main topic of the show, or one of the main topics of the show, and that is how players that are much older, 35 plus, you got LeBron who's 41, Steph and KD are both 37, 38, James Harden's 36. Kawhi's 34, and these are all some of the best guys in the league still. What do you think is attributing to these players not only being this good this long in their careers, but, still they can go toe to toe with the best players in the league today?
So my first point on this one was technology / modern medicine. And so with the modern medicine, I mean, obviously you take Kevin Durant. I mean, he tore his Achilles and came back and was still completely Kevin Durant, and is still completely Kevin Durant. He tore
Uh,
his Achilles.
Maybe a little bit better, just a little bit better
Right,
in some
right.
regard.
That I mean, we and currently you can see Jason Tatum has come back, and is he is he still, you can see he's going to be Jason Tatum that we all remember. Like, there's not going to
For the
be,
most part.
for the most part. And so rather than when you look at Kobe's Achilles injury, he came back and he was not the same Kobe, right? It was a different time and medicine was different. So just thinking from a medicine standpoint, everything's different. And I know we bring up these career altering injuries like an Achilles, but think about hamstrings. Think about even just smaller injuries, just smaller stuff where medicine has improved to where you have guys who have bad hamstrings. Take a James Harden. His hamstring has always been nagging him his entire career, but yet, like you just said, individually, he has had an outstanding career and is still having a great career and a great year this year in the league. So modern medicine / technology was my first one. My second point was the speed of the game. So the speed of the game has obviously has gotten faster from when LeBron was first in the league to where LeBron is now. The speed of the game has gotten faster. Now, the reason why I think that is a contributing factor is because obviously you may think like, man, these old guys can't get up, but I think it's a contributing factor because the game is faster, not as physical, right? So it
Right.
takes so that physicality is gone, and guys aren't getting punched in the face anymore.
Right.
Right? They just running up and down the court so fast, where it's like, well, all these old guys got to do is stay in shape enough to just keep up with these guys. Al Horford is a great example. Al Horford is old as I don't know what. He's not as great as Steph LeBron, but he is still a great contributor to a championship contending team. I know he's on the Warriors; they're not a championship contending team, but if you
I mean,
insert Al Horford,
just a few years ago, he was on that the Boston Celtics team that won the championship, and he was starting some of those games.
exactly. My whole point. So yep, second, speed of the game, and then third, I got IQ has changed, and IQ has changed in a bad way. NBA, the
Right.
players in the NBA, their IQ has changed in a bad way, which is why you got guys like LeBron, and I mean we talked about this off air before, but guys like LeBron, you can see the difference between a player like LeBron, and I'm gonna bring up another good player who's on my team, Luca. You can see the IQ difference, right?
Right.
The IQ difference from a player like LeBron. So then, but that same class, so LeBron, Steph, KD, Al Horford, even the IQ of Al Horford, it's
Mhm.
different. IQ has been on the total decline as these years have continued to go past. And so those are my top 3 points on why players are able to sustain great careers longer.
Yeah, I find it crazy that I mean, let's go back 10 years ago. Put us back in 2016. You have Stephen Curry having a unanimous MVP season, Kevin Durant with Russell Westbrook playing great, which Russell Westbrook and the player we hadn't even mentioned, still putting up triple doubles
Man.
despite being on the terrible Kings, but he's the only thing good going on over there.
Hmm.
James Harden was doing his thing scoring wise. 10 years later, these guys are still, putting up, points and having like James Harden this year had a 55-point game. Kawhi Leonard had a 55-point game at this juncture in their career, right? And it's like you said, the IQ thing is crazy because these players, I don't know how they're going to take care of their bodies in the future, the younger crop, to sustain the same way these players are now. Now, like you said, modern medicine has changed. Right? 10 years ago, an Achilles injury would not be what the Achilles injury is now, or ACL or anything like that, right? We're seeing current players, and I just seen Dame, it was just shooting, but I just seen Dame post a picture of him on the shooting gun. He went 1,000 for 1,092,
Hmm.
right? And he just won the 3-point contest, not playing a single game this year. And it's like these guys can still be elite players, And, one thing I have right here that is a really big thing for me, which I don't know how many players are going to ever be able to do this again, due to I don't know if these players in the future are going to have the longevity of players in the past. James Harden currently he has a 16-year streak of making the playoffs, which will be 17 years once the Cleveland Cavaliers make the playoffs. I mean, the names that's on the list above him, I mean, he's tied with Manu Ginobili, Robert Horry, Scottie Pippen, Jason Kidd, Tony Parker, and Tim Duncan are, in the next group that he's going to reach. And then Karl Malone and John Stockton are right before, like after that. Players used to have super, super long careers and used to be able to sustain that. And we're still seeing that with the players today. But with the IQ you said, I don't know if these younger players can do the same thing that the older players are doing.
No, and a little bit of uh James Harden love for you since it's your favorite player. Man, that is outstanding, man. I mean, he's been
That's
on different
crazy.
teams. That is crazy. That's outstanding to be on different teams and to still consistently make the playoffs. Is I mean, obviously he's not been in a position like Westbrook going from, going to like the Kings, what they currently are, but still
I mean, he
going
was on the
to
Clippers
different
earlier this
which
year.
true. And they were turning around with him on the
Yeah,
roster.
he was
I mean,
the main catalyst for that.
so, and I think that they were going to make the playoffs with him on their roster anyway. So, yeah, man, that is just kudos to James Harden. I had to give them props right there, man, for sure.
Absolutely. One thing I had to definitely talk about the new crop, because another one of the topics we definitely had to talk about was where we see the game of basketball going the next 5 years. And we're talking about the longevity, and you talk about players like Al Horford or even James Harden, another great example of players being able to change their games as their career goes on to help sustain, right? Someone like LeBron, who is a downhill threat player, now has a jumper, players like Steph, or I mean, you can't see it as much on KD, but they get stronger to to help sustain longer. The players of the now generation, like a Giannis, a Jokic, Luka, Shea, a Wemby, he's a lot younger, so I'll leave him out of this conversation for now. How do you see their games evolving? And how do you see they will be playing at their 35, 36, 37 age seasons?
So it's always and it's always been, and I believe it's going to continue to always be one or two things. You either adapt with the game, as you said, LeBron has a jump shot, and everything. If you don't, even take Al Horford, who adapted with the game, he developed more of a consistent jump shot, so he became a stretch big. If you don't adapt with the game, whatever that may look like, then you need to really excel in your role. And a couple players who's had decent, like long careers, um, are like some big men that may go under the radar, like Andre Drummond. Andre
Mhm.
Drummond will rebound the hell out of a basketball for you. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Excel in your role. Clint Capella. Clint Capella has had a decent kind of career, long enough career, longer than you would think, excelling in your role. So whatever that may be, you take a guy like Dorian Finney-Smith on your team, like, you know what I'm saying, playing defense, and then he also adapted that three ball as well, but just overly excelling in your role. And if you know what I'm saying, that's if you can't. I don't know how, I don't know obviously the specific, I don't know the future of how the game will change, but if you cannot evolve your game with the game of basketball, then you got to excel in what you do well.
Yeah, and a lot of these players, like, they're really good now. And, something that I always think about is, I with the players that we grew up watching, or the players that are the older players now. At some points with a lot of them, like a LeBron or even a Steph, a little bit Kawhi, I definitely did not like them as players, not because of their game, but more so, I have other agendas or whatever. I was trying to talk about, but then I began to appreciate their game, knowing like I'm watching somebody that's elite. I'm
Mhm.
watching one of the greatest players of all time. And of course, like LeBron has been one of the players that, he's been in the conversation for over a decade now. But seeing guys like, like Steph 10 years ago, never would talk about him the way he's talked about now.
Oh yeah.
Right. And, 10 years ago was arguably his best season that he ever had, being unanimous MVP. That hasn't happened again since. And guys like Kawhi, who, he went from elite role player, defender, to a defender, all like a great two-way player, to now he's this elite scorer. I mean, Kawhi got a Duffy. You would never thought Kawhi would have a bag
Yeah,
like
he got
this.
a bag.
And Westbrook, right? I just seen he just climbed to fifth all time in assists. And like the players, that are coming up, I have a few players right here. The top four players in the league and their current all-time points, right?
Mhm.
Giannis is at 22,000, Jokic is at 17, Luka's at 14, almost about to be 15, and then Shay's at 13,000. Do you think any of these guys can get up there in these all-time, rankings as far as points and things goes? And do you think these guys can reach the top 10 players of all time, as things, as their careers go on?
No. As far as like, I mean, you talking about like those names that you just listed are in serious jeopardy of missing the 30K club. Like,
Okay, okay, I'm good. We good. We good.
okay. Some of those guys, like, oh, not some, I think almost all, maybe Giannis, because he is at 22, he could. I'm concerned he been injured a lot.
Yeah. Giannis is the one I'm the most concerned about. I mean, he is 31 currently, and then he is from 30,000, he's 7,815 points away, right? I have
Right.
it right here. Projected games to 30,000. That's another 324 games. Now that is a lot of games considering. I also have something here about Giannis. Where is he at? I heard on the Bill Simmons podcast that Giannis has been fouled over 4,000 times.
Mm.
Which, I mean, just let me just do a quick calculation. He's been in the league for what, 14 years now, 13 years? Let's see, 4,000 divided by 13. That's 307 times a year, right? Divide that, and I know he ain't playing 82, but I'm divided by 82. That's getting fouled almost 4 times a game. Let's put it, especially current Giannis, let's put it at 65 games, right? Divided by 65 games, that's almost 5 times a game he's getting fouled. And he's not getting just, a little pity foul. He ain't getting the SGA fouls.
Mm-mm.
Giannis getting trucked,
Yeah, he's getting
right?
yeah.
And someone like a Giannis, he probably like a lot of people already have him top 20-ish. He's already in conversation with Kevin Garnett. People aren't entertaining Tim Duncan. I don't think he's won enough championships
No,
wise to talk about Tim Duncan there.
I'm not entertaining that either.
Yeah, I'll hear somebody, I'll listen. I ain't responding to nothing they saying. That's nonsense. And then Giannis, especially, he still want to contend. Probably not gonna be in the Bucks, so a team's gonna have to try to trade for him, and he's
Yeah.
gonna probably want an extension. As he is still one of the best players in the league. So it's like you're not gonna shortchange him money wise, right? Do you think Giannis can sustain this for 3, 4 more years, maybe? Like this level? Like I'm not
This level too,
the decline, I don't know about. But I'm saying the way the level he's at now,
too.
at this top level, do you think he can sustain this for any more than 2 or 3 years?
No, only two max. Because like you just said, all those games, you gotta imagine he only gets older, and that's why I was
Right.
talking about with the style of certain people's games. Like even with all of those players that you just named, they only get older, and so it gets that more difficult. It gets that more difficult. Like SGA, how quick his first step is now. When you add 3 years down the road, that first step ain't gonna be so quick.
Hey,
Like, wait a minute.
When James Harden messed up his hamstring, the difference like in Philly, if you go back and watch Philly James Harden's first step, I mean his first step has gotten better, like it's a little closer back to what it used to be now. But in Philly, like those seasons right after that hamstring injury, it just wasn't the same. That's part of why he had to change his game to the way he is now.
Hmm.
He just doesn't have that same burst.
Yeah, take those. You got age, you got injuries. You just continuous miles on just on what I'm saying on their bodies. It's just difficult. Like the only way that those players extend into the top 10 of like greatest players of all time is only player that I really see is really that I think has a shot is Jokic. Just if he continues to do
You
crazy
know,
stuff and get all of these accolades, keeps 29, 20, and 15 to sit like, you know what I'm saying? Like it's just crazy numbers all the time. Yeah, I think Jokic will be up there, but that he's the only one.
Yeah, and then it's gonna be difficult because which I already kind of had Jokic kind of close to my top 10, but my top 10 is not traditional like everybody else's. There's a
Hmm.
lot of players that I go by based off on who's better at basketball. Now, the greatness you do have to win, right? You do have to be, that echelon of player. There's definitely a standard, but it's not super strict just on like a championship level. Hey, Kevin Durant top 5 to me, but that's just me. So someone like a Jokic, like I said, I already have him kind of close to the top 10. And then the best players of this generation that's passing by, Steph and LeBron,
Hmm.
they both have 4 championships. All these other guys besides Luca have one, right? And then with the current landscape of how the league is, right? Like in previous years, guys were on the same team, like Katie and Steph got 2 championships together, right? LeBron with Dwayne Wade, 2 championships together, Shaq, Kobe, things like that. But all these players being on separate teams, do you think they're ever going to be able to get like maybe we'll see this year? I mean, Jokic and Shea both have a chance to try to go get that second one. I mean, even Jason Tatum do to a degree, you know what I'm saying? I don't know how that's gonna look, but like, 'cause I personally don't any of these guys are gonna get like that level of championship. Cause I mean, Giannis is already 31, Jokic is 31, Shea and Shea and Luca, they're both 27, which is about the
Hmm.
time like Shea already just won one at 26. So it's like, okay, he might be able to, saying win some more space with the team he has currently, but then you gotta think about there's guys like a Wemby about to come up as well. And me personally, I got the Spurs. That's the team I'm rooting for to win the championship this year, which would screw up everybody. I mean, the old guys, they're gonna be looking like, hold on now, he already won the championship. You know what I'm saying? These current guys are like, wait a minute, this supposed to be my time, and this little dude, well, this tall dude, what I'm saying, he on his way. You got Anthony Edwards, who he's I think Anthony Edwards gonna at least get one. He leaving here with something, right? Personally, I think so. We can talk about it.
He's gonna be the James Harden. He's gonna be the odd man out.
You think
Um,
he's gonna be a James Harden? Because
I think
one thing
he's
I think, which funny enough, they play kind of similar. I think Luca might end up being the James Harden,
no.
unless y'all have to get. I don't think it's gonna be y'all year this year. I'm gonna see what y'all do. But we can talk about that later, the off season stuff. But I personally
I
think Luca's gonna be James Harden this generation. I mean, the play style, as much as I hate to admit it, as big as a James Harden fan as I am, that play style is not gonna work, especially if you're going to be going up against teams that are better than you, because that's the problem James Harden ran into. Now, if James Harden was on the best team, I think he would have won one, right? But
mm,
if he's not on the best team, if he has to go against a team that's better than him, just as a whole, right? Not even just talking about their play style, but just as a whole, just the roster and everything like that. That play style is you gotta kind of play ahead with that kind of play style. You know what I mean? That play style,
mhm,
you can't bring that back. That's like a run the ball type of offense. It slows the game down. You got one person with the ball. You got everybody just standing around. Everybody gets thrown off a rhythm. You can go on like lulls or not scoring. And I actually I have no reason to not like Luca based off like I love James Harden, as a player. But it's just like I'm seeing that play style, I'm seeing the teams around, I'm seeing the other players and the way their teams are elevating. I personally think Luca's gonna be James Harden this generation just because, and especially I gotta see how his game's gonna change because Luca already, what I'm saying, was he slimmed down this year? He already had that weight thing. James Harden, that was a little later in the career, right? That was, what I'm saying, when he was trying to leave, Houston and stuff like that. Luca already kind of had the health issues. Plus the injuries is different too with Luca. He ain't had no 17-year streak. He ain't gonna have one, right? And I don't think he's gonna play. He ain't gonna be 41 in this league either, right? So it's like I think he's gonna just be like every generation has these players, right? This
mhm.
generation it had Chris Paul who just retired. He ain't get one. Melo, James Harden, Russell Westbrook. Funny enough, these are all players I like, right? And then the generation before that, Tracy McGrady didn't get one. Allen Iverson didn't get one. Go to the '90s, Karl Malone, what I'm saying, all them, Charles Barkley, all them. Not everyone could get one. It's not enough rings to go around.
Yeah, it's definitely not enough rings to go around, and I still think that Anthony Edwards is going to be the odd man out, particularly because I don't think he's ever going to get like you were talking about some help in Minnesota, and I do think with Luka being in LA, I think at some point in time now, I don't know if you heard of the whole scenario where we could get Giannis and all that.
I
I
mean,
don't
I've
know.
heard of scenarios where the Rockets get on it, so I don't
Yeah,
know.
I don't.
I don't know who to believe.
The Giannis thing is interesting because it opens up the possibility. It changes the entire NBA landscape depending on where he goes and depending on what happens with Giannis. But I think at some point in time, like I don't know if you ever heard the term like revert back to the mean. I think at some point in
Yeah.
time, things will revert back to the mean. So there will be a team that will have two of these great players. Like it will be, let's just say, for instance, Luca and Giannis. Yeah, they're going to go get another ring, right? Or heck, let's say Giannis goes to Golden State for some reason, right? Giannis and Steph Curry, they're
I,
going to get a ring.
the
But
Warriors are done.
yeah, I know the Warriors is done. I'm just saying there were at some point, let's say, Giannis and Anthony Edwards got together. Yeah, they would get a ring. So
Yeah.
like at some point in time, it will revert back to the mean, and there were two superstars will get together on the team, and yeah, you'll see that repeat. But I'm with you. I think SGA. I think that's one and done. I think that's his only ring.
One. I don't know, man.
I
Shay's one
think
of them players. Like I said, at some point, I start to just appreciate the greatness as what it is. And the thing I hate is when I hear certain names, right,
appreciate the
that
footballs.
I'm hearing like the Shea conversation went. They just skipped Harden. They said, "Wow, we ain't even talking about him." They talking about Jordan and Kobe. I'm like, wait a minute. But I want to say, oh, there's a door. You know, what I'm saying there's a waiting list. But he already did. You know, what I'm saying he got the MVP,
Well, yeah,
got a
he was.
championship.
He done pushed everybody out the way. He
It's
even
just
he was
like,
pushing
dang.
all
And then like
the time.
this is about to be 4 straight years, the first team All NBA. 4 straight. What was it? 4 straight. It was something 4 straight. Oh, 4 straight years, the averaging 30. I don't know. And the thing is, I think that's where the league is gonna go in the next few years. Like you're saying that it's gonna revert back to the means with the with people teaming up. I don't think that's the case anymore. I think it's really gonna be teams being built like how OKC is being built. That's why I have the Spurs as my favorite currently, my personal favorite. I don't think they actually might win. I think OKC probably will win again. At least they have to show me that they won't before I believe they won't. But I got the Spurs personally, but these are teams that got to be built from the ground up, right? Because we've seen in some recent years the teaming up don't work. Now I don't know if it's the people that teamed up or, I mean, there's a lot of circumstances why, certain teams or players don't win championships because, I mean, there's always circumstances with every championship that has to be won. Uh, it hasn't been going well. Even Giannis, like you said, like I said, I don't know if it's because Dame might not be good enough. I mean, they were both being hurt sometimes. I mean, I don't know.
That's not
Hey,
a team
man,
up.
shout out Dame.
But yeah, nah, man. SGA has been. He got what you said, 4 straight first team All NBAs. Yeah, 4 straight offensive fouls, 4 straight push offs, everything like that, man.
He did have
Nah,
a push off last night. That's crazy.
and the referee called. I'm happy he called it. Yeah, nah, I get what you're saying. On you think that the teams would just be like built well, but I just there's a factor of how much talent is in a pool to build a bunch of teams well. You may have that issue.
Well, I mean, okay, so they got all them picks. They're really great at drafting and developing players. I mean, they just got Jerry McCain for free, right? Just something like that. Like you gotta have a great front office, you know what I'm saying, to build a championship team. You know what I mean? It's not just and like you said, Luka's in LA, so maybe we'll see if LA still got, that allure, which I don't ever think they have that much of allure. It's just Los Angeles. Like you can get money anywhere, right? Players in the past used to be like, "Oh, go to New York, go to Miami, LA, whatever, because there's money there." You get money anywhere. Giannis talking about some. I think I've seen the thing talking about Giannis might want to go to LA to be in movies. Like, come on now, you seen LeBron was in Space Jam. See how that went, right? Like, you know what I'm saying? You can make a movie in Milwaukee, right? You make a movie in Houston. You know what I'm saying? But Dang, where was I? Oh, yeah, like these teams got to be built really well because players, it just has not worked. I mean, like I said, Kevin Durant and Devin Booker. Now, I think that got ruined because they got Bradley Beal, another loser. But I
Parable
think
of the
like
game.
these team ups just, I mean, Kawhi and Paul George. I mean, it's like at least there's one winner and another guy that needs to prove he can win, and it's just I don't know if it's the other guy that's holding it back.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. When you put two winners together, Katie and Steph,
But then,
LeBron and D Wade,
yeah,
you got. I mean, honestly, you put two winners together, Kawhi and Tim Duncan. You put winners together.
I
All
mean,
right,
Kawhi.
and I know it wasn't a duo. I know they had
Yeah.
a full squad, but I'm just like I'm just keeping in the duo aspect of it, and so I don't know. I think we have a great shot this year, the Lakers, right? Luka and LeBron. I think we have a great, great shot this year, but we will see. I mean, it's coming down to the wire. We only got like 6 games left in the regular season anyway, so it's coming down to the wire.
Yeah, you know what? And we'll talk about a playoff preview pretty soon, but I think that's a pretty good spot to wrap up here on this episode. I think we got a lot of good conversation now. I just wanted to give a big shout out to all the support again. We really do appreciate it. I'm going to try to get this up as quick as possible. You know what I'm saying? Today's Tuesday, so we're going to see if this is up on Tuesday or it might be Wednesday morning. But with all that being said, I'm Anthony. This is McCaven. Thank you for coming to episode 2 of Hard Truth Hoops, brought to you by the Unapologetic Sports Network. We'll see you next time.
Right.